We're back. This is Renovate and Build with Jim. We're back. This is Renovate and Build with Jim and Sandra, powered by Fair Trade Works.
No, it's not that easy to breathe. It seems you blend in with so many other ordinary things.
Oh, the smooth sounds of Ray Charles on this Saturday morning. And I think it's much easier to be green than we think, at least as long as you have a knowledgeable green friend to help you through it. Good morning.
Yes, Sandra, you're right. At Fair Trade Works, when we wanted to be truly green, we called our friends at Climate Smart for some mentorship to help us through the education, certification process, and ongoing support to stay up to date with the latest in sustainability. Joining us this morning with Climate Smart, he's our client relations associate, is Jens Oram. Good morning, Jens.
Hey, good morning. How are you guys doing?
Fantastic.
Great. Busy weekend lined up?
For myself?
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope so, actually. A bit of rock climbing, and obviously always weather dependent, though.
I know. We wanted to just start by talking about Climate Smart and what your organization does for those who don't know about it.
Yeah, right on. So Climate Smart is an organization based in Vancouver. It's been around since about 2008. And we essentially work with individuals from a pretty broad range of businesses, everything from ice cream trucks to some fairly recognizable companies like Lush Cosmetics, Pacific Blue Cross, and Electronic Arts, and of course Fair Trade Works, in order to train up individuals from those companies. So it could be people from human resources, it could be people from accounting or finance or operations, pretty broad spectrum of individuals. But training them to help them understand how to calculate and reduce one's environmental impact in the form of their carbon footprint or carbon emissions. So since 2008, we've worked with about 800 companies to do that, most of them here in British Columbia.
Yeah, it's a great program. We've been through the training, and it's lots to learn. Jens, with fall approaching, so many homeowners are cringing at the fact that their energy consumption is going to go up, and that means larger bills, of course. What are some simple, energy-efficient ideas that Climate Smart proposes to keep not only our costs down, but most importantly, our consumption to a minimum?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, our work is mostly with commercial businesses and not-for-profits, companies that have a fair larger energy bill than your typical homeowner, and therefore can invest a bunch more in essentially retrofits and new initiatives, and have a quicker payback on those. But I mean, in terms of investments that have a reasonably quick return for homeowners or residential users, insulation and weatherproofing throughout the winter in most of Canada is a huge one. A tiny little bit less though out here on the coast, where we don't get as extremes on the weather side. Mm-hmm. But those are typically some of the things that people can invest in. They'll have a quicker return on their investment. Things that don't actually require an investment are some of the best things to do. Anything that addresses heat and heating water are typically the biggest things. So that's things like dishwasher, showers, clothes washer, clothes dryer. Those are a lot of the biggest users of energy in residential homes in BC. So those are ones that are really great to reduce, however that may be, whether it's running the dishwasher less or using a clothesline or even just minimizing shower time. And if that's already been done, then there's things like more efficient boilers and things like that to reduce the amount of either natural gas or electricity used to heat that water.
One of the things I loved about the program was the reminders that you gave us when we are looking at our carbon footprint. I know in our office is reminders about checking the back of our fridges just to make sure there's not a lot of dust there and that the filters and the air filters are clean. We've put that into our regular maintenance schedule, which then I've carried over to home as well. And it's amazing the difference that it makes, just those small changes.
Yeah. I mean, and they have an instant return on investment, essentially. Really no capital required, and they will have a payoff. Mm-hmm. So anything, that's obviously when we're trying to get folks on board in terms of whether it's greening the operations of a company or just a household unit. It's best started with really simple low-hanging fruits like that, because it allows people to gain a bit of momentum.
Yeah.
And they get excited for the next step, which might be might require a little bit more planning or might require some capital investment, but they start to learn that the payoffs for these things are real and can be quite quick.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know, being involved with the Climate Smart program at our office, just back to basics, composting and turning off lights and timers, and making sure our thermostats are all adjusted to be efficient. And those are huge savings right off the bat, and there's no cost to it. You can literally get it done in the same day and get set up and start making a difference right away.
Yeah, absolutely, Jim.
One of the articles that we were reading recently, Jens, for research for the show, was Vancouver's proposed plan to use the region's raw sewage to heat everything from hospitals to massive housing developments. Can you share with us a little more about this program and how it would work?
Yeah, the caveat is I shouldn't pretend to be an engineer here, but I actually had the opportunity to live for a year in Vancouver's Olympic Village development, which is actually using that source of heat. So wastewater systems everywhere, especially ones, municipal ones, and ours is no exception, are typically a very significant untapped resource in terms of heat. The hot water that goes down our sinks, shower, bathtub, clothes washer, and dishwasher drains, that represents quite a great opportunity in terms of recovering the heat from that water and then utilizing it to provide space heating for houses, as well as to heat more clean hot water. So all that is to say, essentially, that we're flushing all this heat down the drain before we've utilized its full potential. So there's the system called the Neighborhood Energy Utility in False Creek here near the Olympic Village in Vancouver that actually, because we have a large undeveloped portion of land here in False Creek, has basically come up with the idea of having all new developments tap into that. I believe it's all, or at least a fair significant percentage. Yeah, tap into that wastewater heat to provide space heating for the buildings and to heat more hot water.
Yeah, makes sense. So heating from effluent is obviously already in place in Vancouver then.
Yeah.
But will it be a viable solution to everyday homeowners throughout Vancouver in the future?
Well, it'll depend. It's a solution that works really well with larger scale developments. I would imagine, and I guess I can't say don't quote me on this because we're on the radio, but I don't imagine that it's something that would be very cost effective to implement on an individual homeowner scale. Okay. Something that's definitely has to be, it requires a lot of planning and some capital investment in terms of both the municipal infrastructure and then the utility to support it. So there are folks that do capture wastewater in their own very small scale systems, but in terms of something that I think you say an everyday homeowner, I don't think it's something that most of us have the financial or the technical know-how necessarily to do in our own homes.
Yeah, unfortunately, things like this, people, they jump to the return on investment, right? How long is it going to, how much is it going to cost, and when it's going to pay for itself, right? So,
exactly.
There's a cost of forward thinking. And is there any other, what other obstacles are in place currently to kind of stop this happening on a large scale, except for, like you just mentioned, just obviously return on investment and people putting up capital to make this happen? Is there any other kind of major obstacles or not?
Yeah, well, interestingly, on the homeowner side, we run into time after time, we run into the fact that electricity and natural gas are still extraordinarily cheap here in British Columbia as compared to most other North American jurisdictions. So the payback for, if you're not a large user, can be a fairly long time in terms of these investments. But that's when we're talking about technological things, things like insulation and weatherproofing, not as high a capital investment, and can make as much of or an even greater difference than a lot of the technological things that people might have their minds go to immediately in terms of solar panels and things like that. So yeah, the cheap electricity and natural gas is the main thing. In terms of regulatory hurdles, I think we're doing better at reducing those and letting people innovate a bit more, especially in terms of larger scale and Vancouver, which has its own building code, which is quite unique. I think we're getting there in terms of allowing people to innovate. We can always do it faster. We're never necessarily going to change regulations at the speed that people will want to innovate. But I think we're trying to keep up at the very least.
Okay, fantastic. So thanks so much, Jens, for chatting with us today. Extremely helpful and kind of informative information. If you'd like to find out more about being green, contact Climate Smart. You can check out their website at climatesmartbusiness.com. That's climatesmartbusiness.com, or give them a call at 604-254-6283. That's 604-254-6283.
And of course, you can always contact us. We'll be sure to pass on the questions and bring Jens back to answer some of your green questions. Our email is radio@fairtradeworks.biz. And next week, we will be back with more listener questions.
Thank you so much to our producer, Dwayne Bishop, for all your help this week. Big thumbs up there.
And next Saturday, we will once again be joined by a lineup of experts to talk about everything from green solutions to new heated flooring, the housing market, and of course our feature community neighborhood news. And next feature community will be Langley.
Fantastic. So stay tuned on CL 650. Tom Lucas and Sherry Brown will be here with Radio Real Estate. Have a great weekend, and thanks for listening.
Introducing a revolutionary new construction system. This is Renovate and Build with Jim and Sandra.